Hey guys, it's Danny, and for today's 101, I am covering farro. Now, all that farro is a whole grain of wheat. And what makes farro farro is that it comes from an ancient strain of wheat called emmer wheat, which is supposedly the oldest grain out there. And every other grain that exists is said to have derived from emmer wheat. So if you think about it, farro is kind of like the great-grandmother of grains. Farro is super nutritious. It has twice the amount of protein and fiber of more modern wheats. It is rich in magnesium and B vitamins, and it has something called, and are you ready for this one? Cyanogenic glucosides, which help to lower our cholesterol and strengthen our immunity. Now, since it is a wheat, it does contain gluten, but it is said that it has a weaker gluten molecule than some of the more modern wheats. So if you're gluten sensitive, it might be something to experiment with. However, if you're gluten intolerant, then farro is not for you. Now I'm going to tell you, farro is not the easiest grain to locate. You might be able to find it at a regular grocery store if you're lucky. But if not, you should be able to find it at a Whole Foods or at a specialty Italian market. And if those both fail you, you can always go online. You do, however, need to note the type of farro that you buy because they all have different cooking times. So there is whole farro, semi-pearled farro, and pearled farro. Whole farro is just that. It's the whole seed. It still has that outer layer of bran attached. So it's the least processed and it's got the highest amount of nutrients, but it does need to be soaked before you cook it. Now, everything I found when I was researching said it needs to be soaked for 24 hours, but I gotta tell you guys, I soaked mine for 30 minutes and it was delicious. So maybe it doesn't have to soak quite that long, but it still needs to soak and then it will take another 45 minutes or so to cook. What I did notice with the whole farro is once it is cooked, it's very creamy because it's got the extra starches from that layer of bran. So whole farro would be a great choice if you wanted to make something like a farro risotto. Next, we have semi-pearled farro, which I gotta tell you guys, I searched high and low and I could not find it anywhere. The deal with the semi-pearled farro is that a little bit of the bran is removed. So it's a little bit more processed, does not need to be soaked, and cooks up in about 25 minutes. And then finally, we have pearled farro. Now, pearled farro is where the entire outer layer of bran has been removed. So it's the most processed variation, but it doesn't need to cook. It doesn't need to soak, and it cooks up in about 15 minutes. So this is really something you could refer to as a quick cooking grain. Now, the benefits, in my opinion, of the semi-pearled and the pearled are that once they cook up, they're really light and fluffy, and each individual grain is separate. So these would be great choices if you wanted to make something like a side dish or a salad. Now, I just want to be clear here. Yes, the more processed a grain, the less nutrients it has, but all three of these options are still a super healthy, nutritious addition to your clean and delicious diet. Think of it kind of like you would oatmeal. Yes, steel-cut oats are the less processed, the least processed, but rolled oats are still a great choice. So we don't want to get sucked into that all or nothing mentality. Once you have your farro home, if it doesn't already come in an airtight bag, you want to store it in an airtight container. Something like a mason jar would be ideal, and then just keep it in a cool, dry place. Once you're ready to work with your farro, if you need to soak it, soak it. Otherwise, take 1 cup of farro, rinse it under some cold water, get it into a small saucepan, and add 3 cups of cold filtered water. Turn your heat up to high, let it come to a boil. Then we're going to turn it down to a simmer, pop on a lid, and let this go anywhere between 15 and 50 minutes depending on the type of farro that you chose. And make sure you guys check out the package for any little extra guidance or tips that comes with the particular brand you're working with. Now, once your farro is cooked, it should be nice and firm and al dente. If you find that your farro has cooked before it's absorbed all the water, not a big deal. Just drain it out the same way you would if you were making pasta. Now, farro has this really nice, earthy, nutty flavor, kind of a cross between barley, wheat berries, and brown rice. And one of my favorite really quick, delicious ways to whip it up for lunch on an busy afternoon is to combine it with some fresh chopped sardines in olive oil, a little bit of fresh chopped red onion, and then a handful of shredded kale. a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, and a squish of fresh lemon juice. Give it a little kiss of salt, a little kiss of pepper, mix that all together, and you have this insanely delicious, insanely nutritious farro salad. That is so good. So much flavor, and the texture of the farro, it's like a little al dente bite. Delicious. You guys have got to try this. But don't stop here. You could try farro in tons of different types of salads. You could put a little bit of farro into a salad jar, maybe add some into one of your favorite soups, and even try it for breakfast. A little warm milk, cinnamon, ginger, raisins. That would be delicious. Make sure you head on over to cleananddelicious.com because I am going to have this recipe ready for you to print out. Plus, I'm going to have a handful of other recipes that highlight farro that I think would be worth trying. And I am curious. Have you ever tried farro before? Have you made it? Do you like it? What do you like to do with it? Come on down into the comments below and tell me all about it. And if you like this video, do me a favor, like the video, share it with your friends, and spread the word. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Danny Spies, and I will see you next time with some more clean and deliciousness. Cheers. Hey guys, it's Danny, and today I am covering, for this 101, hey guys, it's Danny, and for today's 101, we are covering from the top. Now farro, oh, no. Here we go. Now farro is super nutritious. Now whole farro is just that. Yeah. So technically speaking, it's like a quick cooked grain. So technically speaking, it's a quick cooked grain. It's a quick cooked grain. So technically speaking, this is a quick cooking grain. Now, sure,